Hey guys, welcome back. So today on Modern Masters Auto, we are in our speed lane. We are tackling a project that we had on the dyno. I'll show you a video of the dyno clip. The first video we made, it downshifted, so it looked like it made a ton of power, but realistically it ended up making about 350 horsepower. When it made 350 horsepower, it actually broke the tail shaft of the transmission on the dyno. Luckily it didn't make a mess. Didn't really hurt anything at all. It's just a tail shaft portion on the 4L60E transmission. So it broke the tail shaft. It broke that due to a transmission mount that was polyurethane. It was too stiff and it just didn't get enough play. And then we sent the drive shaft out and lo and behold, the drive shaft was out of balance. So we balanced the drive shaft. We're gonna put in a different style transmission mount that gives a little bit more flex. So the drivetrain isn't so rigid to where it's gonna break that tail shaft off again. We have a brand new tail shaft and we're gonna put it in, we're gonna put the new mount in, we're gonna put the drive shaft back in, and that's gonna be today's video. This is a very cool vehicle. It's a 1972 Chevelle SS with an LS swap, 6-liter, and a 4L60E trans. And it is just really nice. It has a Holley Terminator X ECU and a bunch of goodies under the hood. It is a beautiful car. It's a blast to drive and it's turnkey, has a wonderful dash display. I know you guys have seen some shorts on it before. So we're gonna get the Chevelle back on the road, and without further ado, let's get started. All right guys, that is how you pop the hood. Where do you press? Something down there?
Yeah, there's a lever right the bumper.
Oh wow, lever under the bumper. Well, check this out. The heart and soul of this is looking beautiful. Beautiful. We resealed the valve covers. We redid the PCV system with the catch can and the brake booster. We did a lot of cool things. Plumbed in the vacuum reservoir because the brakes kind of suck, but we're still determining if that's a brake booster thing. But yeah, it's all off Holley Terminator X, tuned up by us on the dyno. So I'm excited to get this fixed. So we can throw it back on the dyno, do one more run because it's basically complete, and then get this back to the customer. All right guys, and here is the tail shafts. There's our old and busted, our new hotness. As you can see, this one almost looks perfect until you lift it up and it split itself into fully cracked. Luckily, no catastrophic noise or fluid everywhere. We got really lucky. There was a small drip, Rusty happened to see it, and it was that. So, and if you'll notice how this is all one piece, notice that brass bushing in there, copper bushing, whatever it is. See how it has dimples and it's not worn out? If you look at this one, it is completely worn out from the pressure the drive shaft was putting down onto this. It was just too much pressure and that's what snapped it. And if you take a look at this was the mount, this just solid mount. This is just too rigid for the setup we need. We're gonna go with a regular style mount so it's not so harsh on this and it doesn't wear this bushing out and really just put a lot of pressure onto this tail shaft. It's really common with these 4L60Es. It's really, really common if you have the polyurethane bushing. But let's get this bad boy on the lift and get this swapped out, put the drive shaft back in, and get this bad boy on the road. And look how beautiful everything is. This differential cover was leaking. We resealed that. But look at all that fresh powder coat, looking good. Pretty clean under here. And then Rusty has this awesome setup so we could remove the tail shaft part of the trans so we could pull it off and match it up to the new one, and took the bushing out, also the polyurethane mount out so we could get the new one. And now we will support the trans, take this bracket off, and put it all back together. And she'll be ready to hit the dyno. Everything is really, really nice on this. I like these suspension setup with that newer control arms. Looks nice. I don't like the 4L60E though. I had about 5 4L65Es in my Hummer H2 SUT, which is a sport utility truck version of the Hummer. I had that while I was in the Army, and I went through about 5 of those transmissions. They were all junk. all junk. But I love that truck. That's one of the funnest vehicles I've ever had, just for off-road and, you know, when I was in the Army going out to the club and stuff. It was extremely fun. Nice new tank. This is nice, the clean stuff. Tank fill is behind the license plate, so that's cool. Yeah, very unique vehicle. All right, Rusty is supporting the transmission, so we can start picking the support bracket off. Taking out his wood and mount there. What are you doing there, Rusty?
The usual.
Oh, you're dielectric greasing that. What is that?
This is the output shaft speed sensor.
Output shaft speed sensor. Nice. Where does that go?
Into the uncracked tail shaft. With no threads on it.
Oh, it needs tapped?
Nice.
Classic.
All right, so as you can see, no threads in that hole there, which is pretty weird. So I'm going to try and just get the next size bolt just to thread in there, because the M6 would not fit. But since this is aluminum, I should just be able to start threading this in here. All right, got a tap M7 by 1, and if you don't have tap sockets, definitely get a set of tap sockets. They make life much easier. And I'm gonna put that in there semi-straight. All right. Now we got our threads in there and put our sensor in there round 2. All right, I also have to go drill this bracket out a little bit, get a little bigger hole for a bigger bolt. Okay, so got our nice hole tapped, got our hole widened. Get that bad boy in there.
It had no parts in that.
Yeah, Craig definitely.
Although I would be the man for the job.
How low does she go?
If only someone would stock our bolt bin.
Yeah. If only if we, paid this company to come and stock our stuff every week to make sure we never run out.
Let me cut that down to size.
Yeah, because I don't want to put a million watches
pause
on
it.
that thing.
Ooh, and I get to use my tool. All right, guys, so I have my Milwaukee tool here. We're gonna cut this down. I love this thing. If you don't have one of these in your shop, garage, kitchen, you should get one. This thing, when I was in Chicago working with Alex, I used his and I was like, I love that thing. So me and Rusty got one. I'm not exactly sure whose it is. It might be mine, might be Rusty's. I don't even care. It's ours. I love it. We both use it all the time. Even came with this Milwaukee blade. I don't even know what that is. I don't know if that's like an old CD out of someone's car or whatever, but it just seems to cut everything really nicely.
That's a GameCube disc, by the way.
Oh yeah, the GameCube disc. That is exactly what that looks like. That's why it took so long to cut into the dang thing. Like a glove. It's really hot.
Did you put ice cream on it?
I did not.
That'd probably work.
I'm fresh out. Actually, I would say I'd use one of the ice pops, but Phil ate all those. God, now we lost it. All right, here's our test. Make sure it threads back in. So I put 2 nuts on there. When you cut a bolt, oh yeah, like a glove, put 2 nuts on there to really clean the threads up when you're done cutting it. It helps a lot. Perfect.
Okay, so looks like it's gonna be perfect little size here. Thread that in. All right, ready for installation.
All right, Rusty, put your tail shaft up and in there. How'd you get it in there?
Those in 2 pieces.
That was convenient.
Yeah. All right, so we just cut this one in half.
Yeah, that one, you need to make that one 2 pieces. Seems like it's a lot easier to get in and out there.
Yeah.
I put that H-pipe in the perfect place.
Yeah. You think I get a pry bar you can give me a little bit?
Dude, these are solid mounts. The problem is they're usually like a flexible rubber mount. And that's why I hate these mounts. There is no play with these whatsoever. I got a little isolator in there, but those mounts are stiffer than but we can easily unbolt them. And
I'm gonna try to lower this exhaust down to get our one-piece tail shaft installed. However, the two-piece came out a lot easier. I might have to take off the mounts, the hangers in the towards the back too. Gonna have to pop these back ones off too, it looks like. Just enough to lower it down. I only need like an inch. No, it wasn't even tight. It was loose already. All right, so if I go back there and loosen my stands, it should give me some extra room. All right, that should be enough. All right, let's see if we have enough room. I think we might have gotten lucky. Nope. All right, change of plans. There's not enough room for me to get the housing in there, even with the exhaust lowered. So now I have to remove this cross brace. I'm hoping I can just, loosen that one side, get the side to drop just enough, or vice versa, just to get that tail shaft in there. I was really hoping it was gonna be a quick and easy install. Still easy, but just not as quick as I thought it was going to be. I got one more on this side. I forgot to switch the camera over. Slide this guy back out of the way. All right, so I slid this cross brace back and I lowered the exhaust just a little bit more. And I think I'm gonna be able to slide this in here. Just getting this parking brake cable out of the way. And there we go. And then when I took it out, I had to undo the trans mount by like turning this thing sideways like this to get to the bolts. But since I have this brace out of the way, I don't think I'm gonna have to worry about that this time. Just need this thing to line up like so. We have a new bushing, new seal, and new seal against the transmission side of the housing, so we shouldn't have any leaks. Get this thing lined up. And it's butt flush now. Just throw these bolts in there, get that rear trans mount bolted up, the non-poly one. Pretty sure the poly hard mount is what caused this whole situation on top of the drive shaft. And she'll be ready to go on the road again. There's been a ton of brand new parts we've had to replace in the Chevelle. It's been like 3 other shops, like brand new water pumps, all new suspension. And it seems like it's had so many defective brand new parts. We really don't know what we're gonna run into next, but I'm very determined to make sure that this leaves perfectly from our shop. And it just seems like every time we go drive it, we fix one problem, we run into another, and I call a customer, he's like, oh, that's brand new. I was like, well, that's why new cars come with a warranty, because new parts fail all the time. But I'm hoping this is the last big issue we run into, because I'd like to see the guy drive the thing, But overall, it seems like everything's been done, correctly. It's just defective parts. It happens. And of course, I gotta just double check they're all seated by hand. And it feels good enough to me. We'll spray this off before we get our mount back in there.
how's it going, Russell?
It's going.
Looking good, looking good. So that gave you enough room to get it down in there?
Yeah, and I had to pull off some special maneuvers.
Oh, some matrix stuff?
No, to get the mount off, since I didn't have the bracket off out of the way.
Yeah.
So now with the brackets moved, I can put on the mount a lot easier. I'll get this guy on here, like so.
So that's an OEM style mount. It's rubber, it's not completely stiff. There's not like an insane amount of flex to it anyway, so it's not like you're like losing some performance deal with it. The polyurethane one is just too stiff.
We'll get our cross brace back on.
There's holes inside the channel here that the cross brace falls down into. This is a little piece of old paint And then it has a bracket on this side, conveniently. That's a nice transmission mount for, I guess it's made for swap cars.
Yep.
Remember guys, if you haven't already, like this video, leave a comment, share with your friends, continue watching this awesomeness. We have a lot more in store. And then we're gonna have our freshly balanced drive shaft to go back up in here into its home. Let's just tighten up the other side of the bracket. Very nice, very nice. Now, let's put bolts into those holes right there.
All right, and with some adjustment, we were able to get these bolts started. And it still uses this spacer that they use. It comes with this little crawl space here for the swap. So we're gonna keep it there, use the stock mount, and hopefully he has a lot less issues with this moving forward.
Looking good. Now it's drive shaft time. Well, you gotta bolt your exhaust back up, and then it's drive shaft time.
Okay, so now all I have to do is start raising my exhaust back up. I'm trying to do both sides here. All right, now I'm gonna throw these nuts and bolts in these here, and then like Craig said, it's drive shaft time. Tighten these guys up. Oh, straight from the drive shaft shop. Rechecked all the U-joints, balanced it, checked the balance and everything. You can see where they had it mocked up on their balancing machine there. Go ahead and slide this guy in there like so. And we'll line up the yoke. So the drive shaft fits in there nicely. Make sure you lubricate the seal before you put the drive shaft in. I already did that before I put the housing on. And now we have our yoke back here for a differential. And if you're taking the drive shaft out of one of your vehicles, you've had like 100,000 miles, it's a good idea to mark the position of where everything lined up on the pinion and on the transmission. Just make sure you don't have any kind of vibrations or anything. But this car literally has like less than like 1,000 miles on it. It's all brand new, everything. The guy's barely gotten to drive it because he keeps having all these issues. So there's really no reason to worry about that here. If he has a vibration, it means there's a problem, which is weird because we drove the car and didn't feel any kind of vibration from the drivetrain on the street. But then this tail shaft broke, so I guess he had multiple issues. Neither one of them were probably bad enough for it to happen right away, but since drive shaft was a little bit out of balance, with that really solid mount on there, it was just enough to break that shaft under stress. Plus you could see where that bushing and that tail shaft is worn out too, so something is definitely up with this. So hopefully everything's fixed. We're gonna put it back in the dyno one more time just to see what the final tune revision does, and you can sail off into the sunset. And this one just has these little straps here, which are super easy to change. Sometimes they get all rusted up and they want to twist, but like I said, everything is brand new on this whole car. So it's been real easy to service it. I just got to tighten these up, get it back on the ground, and I'm going to drive it straight up to the dyno bay. And we're going to put it back on the dyno tomorrow morning and see how she goes. And just making sure these are nice and tight. I do not need any more surprises. Oh, all right, so I'm gonna get this thing down on the ground, let it run for a minute, and then I'm going to check the trans fluid before we put it on the dyno one more time, and he's all good.
All right, guys, we have the fans rolling. I'm going to do our pull on the LS CHEVELLE. Gonna fire her up. Gonna release the dyno. First, he is re-securing the straps. You good to go?
Yeah, I feel good.
There's second. There's third. When I hit 70 mile an hour, the test. Oil pressure's reading 0. All right, guys, we had to pull the CHEVELLE off the dyno. As we were driving on the dyno and attempting to do a pull, we noticed we dropped oil pressure. So we are gonna have to look into that. I'm gonna have to get Rusty to diagnose it. And this is what happens when you take a used engine and parts from all over different cars and try to get something going. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the CHEVELLE's story. We are going to resolve that and maybe get to look at what cam is inside of it, because the owner nor us know what cam is in there. So replacing the oil pump, if that's what ends up being the problem, we'll get to see the cam as well. So since I have you guys here at the dyno, I want to finish this off on a good note. So let's put on the dyno what we are good at. Let's get the CL55 on the dyno.
All right, guys, let's see what we made on the first run on the CL. So we have 580 wheel horsepower and 661 torque.
All right, guys, so the CL55 did back-to-back runs. This car has the Gen 4 2.9 Whipple from VRP, has a VRP intake setup, has a stock crank pulley, has VRP belt wrap kit, has our stage 10 fuel pump setup, 1000 cc injectors from Injector Dynamics, flex fuel kit, has a catch can. I mean, this thing is running like a top. LSD has twin heat exchangers in the front. The heat wasn't even really a problem with this. I'll show you guys the log here at the end of the run. So we're at 5,000 RPM, 11 air to fuel, 102 intake temperature, which is really good. It was warm in here, so I'm surprised with that. Coolant temperature was good, 17.26 pounds of boost. And these were identical run to run. And let's go look at the dyno. And as we see the dyno graph here, you can see that they both made roughly 580 horsepower and 660 foot-pounds of torque, perfectly the same. And this is great. This is what we wanted. That's why I let off at 5,000 RPM the second run, because I just wanted to see that they were similar, because it was the base tune. I sent the logs to the tuner, and we will get a tune revision, and the customer's gonna be really happy. That's good wheel horsepower. And our dyno is not the dynos that read really high, so that's really good numbers. All right, guys, so this is the only good run we got out of the CHEVELLE without experiencing any of the problems. It made 345 and 372 foot-pounds of torque, and this is when the brakes were grabbing a little bit. It was before we found out that the rubber bushing that held the bar in for the brake pedal was keeping the brakes on about 10%. So Rusty fixed that, and the brakes weren't grabbing anymore after that, after we fixed the trans. So we're guessing it's about 400, but today just wasn't its day. That's what happens when you piece together these older cars with different parts from all over, and things can happen. So let's just be happy that it threw down some power, and we'll get it back on the dyno once we resolve the issue. All right, guys, that wraps it up. So if you like this video and you like seeing the dyno action and you like seeing a little bit of a mix of everything, give this video a big thumbs up,
Share with your friends,
and subscribe. And most importantly, send us your car so I can keep these guys busy making videos and turning wrenches, right?
That's right.
We got toolboxes to pay for, dynos and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, you guys have a good day, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Of course, 10-minute fix turns into an hour.
And leave a comment about Rusty, my best friend.
Stop.
Has that been recording this whole time?
Yeah.
God, you're an idiot. Anthony's gonna well off of that one. Testing. See if I put this mic this upside down, away from my loud ass voice. That makes it sound a little bit better.
And we're back.
Stop it so we get like Injector Dynamics, was that their name? Injector Dynamics. I think, Anthony, do a clip from the other video of what the injectors are from. I can't really remember what all these injector companies' names are. It's cold in here today.